going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of GearBreakerNation.com, where we give our excellent assessment and reviews. In this video, we'll be giving you my top 11 B.O.W.s from the Resident Evil series. Starting off at number 11 are the Ganados. Now, the Ganados showed up in Resident Evil 4, and they were an improvement over the original zombies, infected with what we call Las Plagas, which is a parasite that clings to a host and takes control of the host. Ganados actually think. They actually had used some bit of strategy. They actually would use weapons such as pitchfork, chain maces with shields, and use crossbows, which does allow for a bit of strategy when combating them. One of the best aspects of them is like at nighttime, you can see the eyes are glowing, and it's weird because when you look at the detail of them, you can tell that like they got dirty, gritty looks to them because they don't take baths, they don't sit there and groom themselves, they don't change clothes, but they still can do manual labor and things like that. They still function a bit up there, so I think there's also a pretty cool aspect of them, as well as the fact that they communicate. I think that's also a great addition. Ganados are pretty badass, so that's why they made it to number 11. Number 10, the Regenerator. Now, Regenerator is another B.O.W. that showed up in Resident Evil 4, and it is one of the creepiest aspects of the game. The Regenerator is this really tall, lanky kind of creature with gray skin and like really long arms and hands, and when it walks, it kind of slides like that, and one of its most notable feature is its near perfect and instantaneous regeneration. So when you blow his arm off, its arm grows back after a second. When you blow his head off, it even stays alive after that. So you have to sit here and find the Las Plagas within his body and shoot him up and kill him so it won't be able to regenerate. Not only the thing's pretty creepy, it has a really creepy theme to it too. And there's even two versions of them. One that's like the regular Regenerator, and the other that's got spikes on it, spikes and bones, whatever it is sticking out of it. And one of the creepier aspects of the Regenerator is the fact that even if you blow his legs off, even if you blow his arm off, even if you blow his head off, his body would still jump to attack you. So that's what makes it pretty cool and made it put it on number 10. Okay, now this one is a bit of a variant because it was in the film, and it is the unidentified Tyrant 013 from Resident Evil Damnation. Anybody who's played number 2, there is a Tyrant, and he looks like a man, except he's a bit taller and he walks really stiff. And in the Damnation, Leon has to fight a few of these things, and they're extremely big. They're like 2 stories tall, and they're really strong. They're really fast. They look pretty badass. They got this really like ready to just kill everything look to them. And then even when you damage their power inhibitors, they become even stronger. Just disengaging their suits, their body becomes like, it looks like it forms armor on it. Their arms and legs become more muscular. These things are really badass and quite terrifying, and even made for a very entertaining climax when it came to the Resident Evil Damnation movie. So I had to just throw them on this list. That's what puts them at number 9. Number 8 is the Reapers. Now, the Reapers made their appearance in Resident Evil 5, and they look like giant cockroaches. And they are the result of the B.O.W.s virus accidentally infecting cockroaches, and they're quite a challenge. Even annoying a bit at times, but they're one of the better B.O.W.s. They expel this weird gas that makes it disoriented, so it's hard to see them. And they have a carapace, really hard carapace, that makes them hard to damage them. They have scythe-like appendages, so when it hits you, it looks like it hurts. Kill attack, they'll grab you and just jab the shit out of you. And that sometimes can be frustrating, especially fighting them in enclosed spaces. Number 7 is the Licker. Now, the Licker is one of those B.O.W.s that is famous in the Resident Evil universe. Not only is it famous, it's like one of the figureheads next to, like, I don't know, Nemesis and the zombies. And the Lickers generally are these blind creatures that use sound to find their opponents, and their most notable feature besides their long ass claws is their tongue, which they use to grab opponents, to attack opponents. They're even masterful enough to even decapitate a person with their tongue. Now, the Lickers made their appearance in several of the games, including Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 5, and I generally like them considering the fact that they look pretty cool. The design looks pretty badass. In Resident Evil 5, you fight a whole gang of them too, and fighting them, trying to dodge their lunge attacks, dodge the tongue attacks, dodge the little swiping attacks they do, makes for pretty entertaining mini boss fight, I guess you want to say, which is not really a mini boss fight, but it's done. It's done pretty well. The lickers are actually some of my more favorite ones, especially like in the movies, the way they were utilized in the movies, how they move, how they use tactics and stuff like that, how they stalk their opponents. I thought that was done pretty well. So the lickers are pretty badass. Now, coming in number 6 are the zombies. Now the zombies are a byproduct of the T-virus infecting humans, and the zombies are pretty cool. They're slow moving, they're decaying, they don't stop, they don't feel pain. You know, the zombies are maybe somewhat the most creepiest ones. When I went back to go play the first Resident Evil and the third Resident Evil, the zombies did put up quite a challenge. Maybe because they were so unexpected at times, and I was limited on ammo, or if I did have ammo, it was hard to hit them. It was hard to kill them because it took so much ammo, but the zombies are a pretty cool aspect of it. I like that during some of the newer games, such as Revelations 2 and in Resident Evil 6, that the zombies are a bit beefed up in some senses. Like in Resident Evil 6, the zombies do kind of salter, some run, they crawl, they grab, if they holding a stick or something that they had when they died, they can use the stick and try to hit you with it. Even in some of the instances where if they had a gun, they can use the gun somewhat. But I don't think they know what they're doing because of zombies or whatnot. But the zombies are actually a pretty cool byproduct of the T-virus, although I would not want to be infected and turned into one, or bitten or killed and turned into one. But zombies are pretty badass. Coming in at number 5 is the Ustanak. Now the Ustanak made its appearance in Resident Evil 6, and it was a Tyrant, and it was a pretty badass pursuit Tyrant. It had this giant ass metal claw arm, and it had like different purposes, like it could just stretch the arm, or it had another arm with like a ball and a chain on it, and you can use it like a flail and just knock stuff over. And then it was extremely big and strong, and it would run really fast, and it was very durable. That thing was it was pretty cool. To me, it even paralleled Nemesis in stature. It was actually pretty impressive, and I liked its presence in the game, where it was just a constant pursuit, and it was just so hard to kill it and so hard to stop it, and it just looked fucked up in the face and things like that. I really enjoyed the Ustanak, and kind of wish that they actually would have put more exposition onto it, as in like who he was, how he got transformed into him. Even though I do know how, but I would have liked to have seen it, you know, some kind of exposition on it. But the Ustanak was pretty badass, especially as a pursuit. It even survived like a plane crash, I want to say, at one point in the game. It was actually pretty badass B.O.W. We need to see more of it, whether it's in a book or comic or something. Coming in at number 4 is the Huevo from Resident Evil 6. Now, a lot of people didn't like the Huevo, but I loved them because what is more unpredictable in a game than fighting henchmen or army that if you shoot them in a certain spot, that spot adapts and becomes stronger. You have the Huevo, if you shoot him in the arm, it becomes this really long and powerful arm which it can use to knock the player aside, or it can transform into a shield, or even transform into that really long arm that's kind of like a spring, so it can reach like 20 feet away and grab you and then slam you on the ground. There's also where you can shoot it in the legs, and the legs will come back hard with armor on it, adapting the armor, or some where you sat there and you shot him in the head and it turned into this big clamp thing like a beetle has, or a combination of 2 bees on his head. The more animalistic transformations, like if you shot a Huevo, it turned into this bird-like thing, or they got one where it turns into this, half his body turns into like a bird, and another one turns like half of a grasshopper, and even when you shoot it and it turns to like it turns into that spider-like thing, which was really freaking, it was pretty gross. But I liked it because it added so much unpredictability to them when you fought them. because one could transform into the grasshopper, another could turn into the shield, another would sit there and turn into the spider. But it just makes them so adaptable, and I think that's one of the best aspects of the Huevo, and that's why it makes them so refreshing. Like if they do the Huevo idea again, they come up with new transformations, and it completely makes sense. We're down to the top 3 my favorite B.O.W.s, and here we go. Number 3, the Glasp. Now the Glasp was introduced in the Revelations 2, and what essentially is a mutated human to like this big bug B.O.W. that is invisible. And it's freaking amazing. The thing about two of the best strategic abilities of this thing is the fact that it turns invisible. It can turn invisible, and the closer it gets to the player, the more distorted the player's vision and mental faculties get. And the fact that, as much as it's a dick move, it has a one-hit KO. It has a one-hit KO attack. It grabs you and essentially breaks your back end, and then just drops all these babies on you. And it's gross. It's got like a bulbous, like buggy back and everything. It's got a bunch of wings. It's got a bunch of legs, and then it's got this weird like giant split in its stomach, like it's a big mouth. It's freaking gross. But at the same time, it's one of the most challenging creatures in the game. I'm glad that they came up with the idea for a Glasp was actually pretty good, and I think it's more reminiscent, closer still to the Reaper somewhat because of this function and everything. But like I said, the Glasp was actually pretty cool, and it's like what 2 ways you can only just spot these things. You can either like throw a grenade at it, or you can use Natalia's ability to somewhat see the auras of these B.O.W.s to kind of detect where it is. But I have to say, yeah, they're the most tension building enemies also. And it's great that you can even fight more than one in the game, or like a half a dozen or a dozen or so. But they're pretty cool nonetheless. Number 2, the Verdugo. Now, if you don't know, the Verdugo is this weird exoskeletonized creature in Resident Evil 4. It first appears next to this short guy Salazar with his like hood on, and then it gets to fight. And then it goes to kill Leon, and it's pretty cool because it stalks Leon. Now the Verdugo looks humanoid, except it's a bit taller. It has these long like fingers. It's kind of like this. It's like 3 fingers, and it has this really long tail, and it kind of looks like a xenomorph from the Alien films, body wise. But it's pretty cool because it's like while it's stalking Leon, it's like coming from the ceiling, and it's like crawling on the ceiling trying to stab him and grab him, and then you have to fight it. It's like bulletproof, so you have to have like high caliber weapons, and it runs really fast. It's a really fast opponent. But the Verdugo looks pretty badass, and the fight was actually one of the more memorable fights in the game, even though most of the game has some pretty badass fights anyway. But the Verdugo looks pretty special. I mean, look at this damn picture. It looks badass. We're down to number 1. The most badass B.O.W. in my list of top 11 B.O.W.s is none other than Nemesis. Nemesis is freaking awesome. Playing Resident Evil and having him just stalk me through the city was annoying as fuck, but it was just badass. He was like really cool. What's more badass than basically a superpowered zombie? That's what Nemesis essentially is. He's like the Superman of zombies. Not to mention he has this big ass Gatling gun and this big ass fucking rocket launcher also. Then he can run and he can pursue, and he's just so relentless. The design is even freaking scary as hell. I mean, it looks essentially like he's just grinning the whole time, and he's big and he's intimidating. Nemesis is one of the most badass, hands down, and it's just pretty cool fighting against this thing. Or in my case, I was running most of the damn time. But Nemesis has definitely made his mark and definitely deserves to be one of the faces of Resident Evil. Alright guys, in the comment section below, let me know if y'all agree with this list. Are there ones that you didn't like? Are there some that I didn't put on the list that should have been on the list? And guys, until next edition of GearBreakerNation.com, keep those gears turning.